DS 18-029, receive crime briefing. Chief Kimball, you're back up.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Council. Item before you today is a briefing on crime. It's one of those issues that affects everyone, and felt that we needed to have a briefing on it. So that being said, I kind of went from my perspective, my personal perspective, being here since September 1st of 2017. I did look at the full 2 years of crime data that we do have in 26 and 2017 and did some comparison on that. The data will compare monthly Part 1 crimes from 2016 to 2018. Again, as a point of reference, the Part 1 crimes are our criminal homicides, our rape, our robbery, our aggravated assaults, auto theft, larceny, and burglary. As a matter of history, the council hired a new police chief on September 1st of 2017. He's very appreciative of that. First 30 days was used to complete an assessment of the department, along with staff. Thank you, sir. Appreciate that. We conducted a thorough investigation or thorough examination of crime data, the processes that we use at the police department, and the workforce. We quickly realized that we needed a plan. We needed a guide to kind of help move us forward. After talking with the senior members of the department, guys who've been there a while, we looked at the Department of Justice, OJP, Office of Justice Programs, and we knew that they could provide us a roadmap and in a relatively short amount of time. Our last update, there were some issues going on in DC. They couldn't meet on some phone meetings we had scheduled, but we think in the next 30 to 45 days, we'll have something from them. I think they've met with many stakeholders here in the community, probably many people in this room, and I think they'll have a plan for us soon. Again, looking at the DOJ, and one of the things when I got here in September, we wanted to know what was going on with crime. There was many rumors about where crime was coming from, what was the reasons of crime. There was, people talked about Katrina and the hurricane. There was rumors about and innuendos about where crime was happening and who was committing the crime. So again, we wanted the DOJ to have that unbiased point of view using our own statistics, community statistics, to find out, to answer some of those questions for us. And we look forward to their report soon. The crime data, or the crime rate, now, when you get this comes out by several sources. The FBI does it from year to year. Other magazines do it. And what they do is they commonly use this to compare communities' crime as it relates to their current population with other like cities. So if you take a look back, going back into, I think this starts in about 94, I believe, and you see there is a downward trend when it comes to crime. The formula that you use is our total number of crimes is divided by the population. You multiply that by 100,000 and you get the crime rate for the city. And that's used, the FBI comes out with the crime rate every year. And as you'll see in the next slide, the summary is, crime has pretty much stayed the same, but the population is increasing. So, and this next slide kind of backs that up right there. Looking at that same time period, you see where crime has kind of, a slight upward trend. This is the raw number of crimes that happen here in Killeen, not taking population into concern. So, kind of level. As we looked at full years of crime at the data that we do have, you see 2017 is there marked in the blue, 2016 marked in the red. You see that in that full year starting around August, crime is starting to take a huge slide, and it continues to take a slide now. Violent crime is that crime that everyone hears about, the one that keeps everybody up at night, the one that makes the newspapers and the social media rounds. Again, we're looking at the full year of 17 this is going to be since October 1st. This is, I'm going to talk about that October date to where we're at now. That October date is when, after I was here for about a month or so, we saw a huge spike in crime. We put together a mini task force along with our federal partners, our state partners, our task force, other police departments, and we really hit crime. I think we saw a really good result where we saw crime going down, and we attest that to going after some repeat offenders. We knew there were people in this community that were wreaking havoc on this community. We used some federal statutes, some creative federal statutes. We talked to our partners in Waco, our ATF, our FBI, U.S. Marshals. They really helped us. We had a commitment from DPS. I'll talk about that later. But once we got that into effect, we saw a pretty good downward slide in crime that continues today. When we started to talk about crime, we weren't talking about crime when I first got here. I really had some issues. There was a lot of things going on. The department was in transition. People were talking about a lot of things, talking about baseball, talking about the budget, talking about pay raise and things like that. But we weren't talking about crime. I said, guys, we're in a crime business. That's what we do. We're police officers. We're in a crime business. So we got together every week, and we did it today. Every Tuesday, we get together, 9 a.m., and we talk about crime. We talk about the crime that happened last week. We talk about the crime that happened last month, and the crime we talking about that happened last year. And we use that as our guide to develop plans to combat crime. We don't do it in a vacuum. We know that, when you look at CPTED issues, if you're broken window theories, we know if you have areas that are not taken care of aesthetically, those areas can become crime prone. One of our lieutenants got together with our other partners here in the city, and they cleaned up basically a camp behind the Kentucky Fried Chicken. We looked at a picture of that today compared to what was 2 weeks ago. I mean, they're ready to set the thing on fire and clean it out, but it was really a city where people were using to evade the police. People were living back there. That area is all cleaned up. So we have people like that who have come to our CompStat meetings. The police chief, so I've talked to the police chief at KSD. He's ready to come to our crime meeting and see where crime is taking place around the school system. Secondly, we have to deal with operational efficiency. We have to be good stewards of the public funds and the public resources. We know that there are budget issues. We know that we have problems with recruiting. We're not going to hide from that. So we know that giving the number of officers and civilians that we have to make sure that we're doing it right. We challenge each other literally every day. We ask why we're doing the things that we do, and is there a better way to do them? We also know that if we improve our relationship with the community, it provides for a safer community. We increased our social media presence. You see us at more community watch meetings. We have our award-winning Crime Citizens Police Academy going on now. We have a very active Explorers program. Those things we know we have citizens involved with crime, they become better eyes and ears for us in the community because we clearly know that we cannot arrest our way out of crime. There's not enough space in Bell County Jail. There's not enough space in the prison system and the Department of Corrections that we cannot lock up everybody. But we know that we have partners that are helping us. When they see something, they do something. When they see something, they say something. We know that having that relationship with the community will help us with crime. Nonviolent crime in 16 versus 17 has kind of pretty much stayed steady. It has crisscrossed. This is a military town. People have stuff, and people like to take other people's stuff. We're really trying to combat that, but it's very difficult because we need people to practice good crime prevention techniques. If I could tell anybody, if I could stand here at this podium, please lock your cars, because probably 65 to 70% of our property crime is with people leaving their cars unlocked. People leave their cars unlocked with a birth certificate in it, their wallet, their weapon, their kid's birth certificate, their rent money, and every prescription drug. They leave it, and bad guys not even breaking the window. So if I can stand here and listen to me now, please lock your car tonight. Our nonviolent crime, again, it's pretty much stayed the same. There is a decrease that is going on now. That's going back since October. Not a huge increase on that, or increase or decrease in that nonviolent crime. So we're trying to gauge if we're doing the right thing. So we took when I made this slide on March 18th. Is it working? This time last year, we were investigating 7 murders here in the city of Killeen, and today we only had 1. We have a few more rapes. Our robberies are down 35%. Our aggravated assaults almost in half. Again, that burglary number is not where we want it to be, but it is down. And that larceny, that people stealing each other's stuff, is still about the same. And our vehicle thefts are down also about 57%. And I will take the opportunity to say this, is that, when we looked at our processes, the things that we were doing, we did find where we were not reporting auto thefts correctly. We talked to the state DPS, we talked to the FBI. They know about that. I think they know about the reporting issue. We're on track now. We're literally doing it by hand so we could talk to our software vendor. But still, that probably accounts for maybe 20% max. But we're still, auto thefts are down because I think people are much more aware than they were before. In summary, the Killeen Police Department is aware of many challenges and issues. We're going to face them head on. We're not going to hide away from the issues. We know that there are many things coming up. We know there's going to be a tight budget. We know there's going to be issues when it comes to recruiting and keeping our most talented employees, sworn and non-sworn. But the good thing about it, we have partners. I've talked to the criminal head division at the U.S. Attorney's Office. They are ready to assist us in any way they can. I think today, as I check my stats, that we have about 33, since October, we have 33 cases that the U.S. Attorney has agreed to assist. Those are people who will be removed long-term from this community once they're convicted. They're not going to Bell County Jail. They're going to federal penitentiary. They have been very creative in their use of the United States Code. One high-profile case that we worked a few months ago, a young lady on social media flaunting weapons on the internet. She is now in federal custody because she'll be charged with what's the charge? She's basically, since she's admitted she was addicted to drugs, and she was in possession of weapons. Federal code that I didn't even know existed until this year. So using those creative ways to keep some of our more violent people out of this community, her and her brother also. We have commitment from DPS also. That came as, again, from our relationships, again, with some of my officers in the back. We had a DPS come down here this weekend. They were very interested and very committed to keeping us safe. In just one weekend, last weekend, we had an operation where where over 239 traffic stops, 90 citations, 295 warnings, 82 vehicle searches, 6 felony arrests, and 2 handguns, 9 warrants served. And that's us working with DPS. Something that hasn't traditionally happened here in Killeen, but we're glad that DPS has reached out to us, and we will continue that operation with them. As a police chief, I know that there are responsibilities that I have. One, when it comes to crime, when it comes to fighting crime, when it comes to the fear of crime. There's a lot of talk about the fear of crime, but some of that is not proven when it comes to the statistics. So I have to help promote what's really the truth. Crime is decreasing. This is not an unsafe city. If you are involved in drugs, if you're involved in violent domestic situations, you will have an impact on our crime. But can you go to the mall and go to HEB and not be assaulted? Probably so, but just don't leave your car unlocked. You'll probably be okay. So
Just don't leave your car unlocked.
that's the presentation. I can stand here and talk all day. I love talking about the Killeen Police Department, but that is my presentation, and I will gladly stand for any questions.
Well, Chief, I just want to say, I know it's too early, but as mayor for the last couple of years, around this time frame, I want to say, I'm not sure, exactly sure, but, as mayor, I've had the last couple of years, news reporters, I'd say the TV, and they want to talk to me because of our crime rate. And so I remember 2 years ago, we were like number 7, and then last year when I did it, the reporter says, we're number 9, and I'm saying, well, number 9, that's an improvement from the previous year. And I just want to say, so far this year, nobody has called me on that. So I just want to commend you on the job that you've done. And I know it's, like I say, it's still too early, but you've done a great job in fighting it. And I think the biggest, I know you do your job as a policeman, and you guys do a great job, the whole force. But I think that what I see that you do is that engagement in the community, and I think that that's an important part of it, because as representatives of the community, I think that it's our job too. So you have our support, when it comes to engaging in the community, when the leadership of the city does it, and then you get the staff and all that do that, that's going to make a huge difference in the community, and I think that, you're doing a great job doing that.
Thank you, sir. And I would be remiss if I didn't say that the team is a hard-working team. Chief Baldwin left me a great team of officers, dedicated officers, and they know the dangers that come with this job. Our officers have been assaulted, they've been shot at, they've been threatened literally as of this week. But they're dedicated to keeping this community safe, and I'm really glad to be part of the Killeen Police Department team.
Mr. Okry.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. And Chief, I want to say thank you that somebody's finally started to look at crime from another point of view other than the aggregate. You've actually broke down the variables that create crime.
Yes, sir.
Because that can go so far. I mean, I read the paper when I do read it, because I don't read it very much now because it's not much in there.
Yes, sir.
But when I do read it, it's always it's doom and gloom with crime. But nobody's making the and I'm so glad that you stood here tonight and kind of delineated where the crime is happening, and it's happening between people that know each other. That's where it's happening, and these people are not wanting it to be reported. So then we get as a city, as a department, get pulled into that. And it becomes a statistic, but I'm glad somebody has disaggregated and made plain where these top crimes are coming from, and not looking at it on the whole like we're living in a war zone, because we're not living in a war zone.
Thank you, sir. And one of the things that we in the team we talk about all the time is that giving social media, something I didn't experience early in my career, but an incident can happen, but it can be retweeted and reposted by hundreds and thousands of people, even people who don't even live in our community, and it make it seem like things aren't what they really are.
It's almost like somebody saw a garter snake, and by the time you get to 10, 12 person, it's a dragon.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Rivera.
It's just for the city manager. Is the chief going to have an opportunity next week to do this presentation in front of the city council again in the dais, where also not only us could see it, but also could be presented through the cable?
Yes, we can do that.
Thank you, sir.
I think he probably should get with our PR department, Hillary, and help her do one of those, announcements on video that we do all the time for the public to see, that everybody can share.
Already got it planned.
Oh, there you go.
There we go.
All right. Anybody else? Mr. Johnson.
Just a quick few comments. Thank you for your presentation.
Yes, sir.
I do agree with you that crime, grime, and economic upward mobility go hand in hand, and we really can't address one without addressing all of them. And that was the point behind the North Killeen program, was shining the light on grime and cleaning up the areas of North Killeen, which would also weed out a lot of the crime. Of course, I'm a big fan of crime prevention, especially community policing, and so I appreciate what you do, what your officers do. I see them out giving out basketballs and playing with the kiddos. Many citizens have told me that they appreciate seeing you as chief of police out there, whether it's at a Black History program or whatever the case. They appreciate it. I appreciate it, and I also appreciate you letting your officers, especially Lieutenant McDaniel, put a plug in for him. Hope he get promoted one of these days. He'll kill me later. But, appreciate you letting them take their time, because he comes with me to the Bob Gilmore Senior Center, and we serve meals. He also will be with me next week at Meadows. Last but not least, I appreciate you hitting it head on, addressing there is an issue with crime, and you are doing something about it, and also not trying to do it yourself. And I think that what we say a lot of times in the community is that we say, as as a city council member, I can solve all the issues by myself, and the city is only as good as the labor that we put into making it a better place. And so I appreciate you engaging the community and getting them involved in solving crime and violence, and truly making our city a safer place. So thank you.
Thank you, sir. And I'll pass those accolades on to Tammy Mosley, our crime prevention specialist. She does an outstanding job. She's just about as busy as I am. I think we crisscross each other throughout the city at different places, but she and our three sector lieutenants, what I've done, I've divided the city into three parts. There's three lieutenants commanding those areas: Lieutenant Smith, Lieutenant Reyes, and Lieutenant Bryant. There are three little mini police chiefs, and they're responsible for everything that happens in those individual areas. That cleanup that happened behind Kentucky Fried Chicken, for example. Lieutenant Bryant was responsible for getting that. They're responsible for everything from jaywalking to murder in those areas. So I'm really glad to have them. I got a really good investigative team. Some of them guys are in here today, but I can't stand here and say it ain't all me. But there's a hard-working police department that, regardless of what go on with budget or money or finance, they're dedicated to keeping the city safe.
Brian is the one that has a good hair, right? Is that the lieutenant with the good?
I'm not going to talk about his hair on here.
All right, Mr. Rivera.
No, Chief, I was going to say, you're getting praised a lot today, and you just said it. Can you pass also to the men and women that really fighting crime out there, like you said? Because I know you get a lot of things done, but those men and women needs to know that we appreciate what they do every single day, putting their life for us every single day. And that is why, as you may know, the same way we speak today, I hope that's the same way we speak when you come up to us and you tell us what you need in order to keep those men and women safe so they be able to go back home. So let's not forget what we said tonight.
Thank you, sir. I'll pass it on to the men and women. I usually start a speech by talking about how I'm grateful to be the police chief of the best police department in Central Texas. And on behalf of the men and women, sworn and non-sworn, the volunteers and explorers, I'll pass that on to them.
Mr. Okry?
Yeah, and don't forget your other component that deals with crime. And it was a sweep of that with the code enforcement. That was a thing that we went through all these zones. It was like 5 or 6, went through the whole city. Not just one part, it went through the whole city. So it's that other component that goes along with that. And get off Kentucky Fried Chicken. It's other places around here that
Yes, sir. We have some, and again, I know it's getting late in the evening, but I mean, we have some before and after pictures of some viaducts in the water areas that we, we know we have to clean up so crime can move on, the Gray Street Bridge and some other places, but we can talk about that
crime is
later.
everywhere. It's not isolated to one side, and it's usually an element.
Mrs. Fleming?
Chief Kimball, I would just like to make a comment. Thank you for everything you've done. I think you've done an outstanding job since you've been on. And I would like to say kudos to Tammy Mosley. She is an outstanding person. She's on your staff, and she's doing a wonderful job as far as neighborhood watch programs and assisting us in doing our job in the neighborhood. So I would like for you to just give her a raise. Anyway, I think she's doing a terrific job.
I will give her some accolades.
Oh, right, her
first.
and Lieutenant Bryan and the other two guys that are working with her, I think they're doing an outstanding job, sir.
All right.
And I
Thank you,
thank-
Chief.
Okay, thank you, Chief.
Appreciate it.